Ben Gurion University is going global with a special broadcast as the Jewish New Year approaches, determined to show how it's pushing forward after a couple of the hardest years in Israel's history. Now, despite conflict, loss, and even missile strikes that damaged its labs, the university says that its mission has not slowed. The event is going to be spotlighting salvage research, students juggling reserve duty and academics, and new programs in sustainability and computer science. The message in the face of war and disruption is that Israel's Negev is still innovating, still thriving, and still looking ahead. We're joined now by Jeff Kaye. He's the Vice President for Public Affairs and Resource Development at BGU to tell us a little bit more about this event. So, Jeff, before we get to when this event is being held, BGU often describes itself as this sort of bridge, you could say, between Israel and the Jewish world. How is the university engaging in that Israel-diaspora relationship, especially after these difficult years? So,
first of all, thanks for that question. You would expect that a university who has Ben Gurion's name on its shoulders would be thinking what Ben Gurion would be doing in a time like this. Mm-hmm. I think back to the last few years as a very important change in watershed moment, actually, in the Jewish diaspora and Israel relations. If you think back to, you have these atlases, historical atlases with timelines, and you have this thing that says what was happening in one place and what was happening in another place. So if you look at the Jewish timeline, the Jewish historical timeline, up until 1948, there was one Jewish historical timeline. We were all on it. And then when the State of Israel was founded, actually we started a second timeline, a parallel one. And so there was the history of what was happening in the Jewish people and what's happening in the State of Israel. Right. And 10 years ago, had you asked people, they would have said, well, we're moving aside. We're not talking enough. Not enough Israelis understand what's going on in the diaspora. Not enough people in the diaspora are coming to Israel. October 7th, 2023, our enemies forced us back into one timeline. From that point on, we all understood that we were in it together. And so we're back to this single timeline. Why do I say that? Because although things that happened here were very different from things that are happening overseas, we really are all in this together. The increased anti-Semitism, all the anti-Israel sentiment means that we are in it together. And I often say, if Ben Gurion was the prime minister, what would he be doing? He would be reaching out to the Jewish community throughout the world and saying, let's talk. Let's find out how we're in this together. And as a university, we see that as our role.
Absolutely. Well, beyond academics, BGU has a major global footprint. In terms of partnerships, innovation, impact, the type of work that the students are doing. What can you tell us, and what is going to be highlighted in the upcoming event?
Right. So first of all, we're not just a university that could be anywhere. We're a university that has to be where we are in the Negev. We always were. And post-October 7, we doubled down on what is our role to the wider community? How are we reaching out to all of the communities in the south of Israel, Beersheba, Sderot, Ofakim, and many more, and saying, how can we as a university help you? We have community development from our students in the community itself, where we're encouraging businesses to move down to our Advanced Technologies Park, because we see ourselves as he saw in 1953, as developing the Negev even more so after October 7.
With fewer visitors able to come to campus in the past few years and just generally the state of Israel, how do you kind of keep that sense of connection alive with supporters from abroad?
Right. First of all, I'm zoomed out. I've been in more Zooms in the last couple of years than I can ever. Well, it started off with COVID, but it's I think the last 2 years even more so. It's really important for us to be in contact with our supporters all the time. Everything is going on. One of the things that our president, Danny Shamovitz, has been famous for is he puts out a weekly letter that goes to thousands of people. What happened in the university, his perspective of what's going on, very much dealing with the issues overseas. And we have managed to keep these very, very tight connections over the last 2 years and will continue to do so.
Obviously, navigating the politics of today's climate is no easy task, especially as we see this kind of rising BDS movement that's targeting not just musicians or businesses, but also, academic institutions as well. How has BGU been dealing with that?
Well, first of all, if you were to walk into our university, as you have done in the past, you will see a university of people of all the sorts of backgrounds, Jews, Arabs, religious, non-religious, doing two things, studying and doing research. And so we are a microcosm of actually how society could live together. And so we tell that story, And often when people come to visit us from outside of Israel, who've never been to Israel before, they say, you're so close to the Gaza Strip. And yes, this place looks at this island of tranquility, or an island of sanity, if you like. When we get posed with political questions, our litmus test of if we're successful is if the person asking doesn't know where the person answering's our position is politically before afterwards. And so we try very hard to say there's this on one hand and the other on the other hand, and stay as neutral as possible, as an academic institution should.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time on the show, so I just want to kind of ask you to remind our viewers when they can watch this event. It's coming up on September 17th, I believe.
Yeah,
correct?
It's 2 days from now. It's at 7 p.m. Israel time, and all the other times that you can Google and find out what time. There's a link on our website that you can log in, and it's an hour of a deep dive into what we've done in the last year. But young students, innovation, amazing creations, and lots and lots of really uplifting things to talk about.
Well, I can tell you all, I'm a huge fan of Ben Gurion University. Really some incredible innovations coming from your students, and so much important work that has been done to help Southern communities post-October 7th. So tune in on September 17th.
Thank you so
Kaye,
much.
thank you so much for joining us.